Hi, and welcome to another episode of WFCF TV. This is Dale Brill, president of the Florida Chamber Foundation. Today I have the pleasure of being with Randy Berridge, who is the president of the Florida High-Tech Corridor and Central Florida area. But Randy, you're no stranger to the economic development community, the folks that are watching this, and want to thank you first for making time to spend a few minutes with us to talk about not only what you're doing at the corridor, but the role of your role as a member of the Board of Governors, a longtime supporter of the Chamber, the Foundation, the caucus system. I think we're going to try to cover it all today. So again, first, thank you for your time.
Dale, glad to be here. Pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, again, when we have time to spend with you, we always want to do it because the perspective that you bring, I think, is going to be unique for folks, not because you are any more aged than the rest of us, but certainly more wise than the rest of us. And I wanted to take advantage of that. If you could give your perspective, but before you do that, I think it's probably for those of the rare folks who aren't going to know who you are, give us some sense of what happens in your shop and the role you play and what you do for Florida's economy.
I'm honored by that former part. The latter part, in terms of the intelligence, will remain to be seen. In '96, we had just saved a major expansion of a little company called AT&T from going offshore. We did it with some new city, new county, new state incentives, but not enough to compete offshore for a semiconductor manufacturing operation. The difference was the commitment of research funding from UCF and USF, two great universities in the central part of our state, that committed to find the money and then help this semiconductor manufacturing operation stay here and grow here. President Hitt and then President Castor at USF, President Hitt at UCF, realized that what was done for a large company like AT&T could be done for companies of all sizes. So our genesis was 1996 with the idea, not to be Lincolnian with your audience, but Dan Holzenbeck gets the credit on the back of an envelope, crafting our mission statement, which we still employ today. And that is to help attract, retain, and grow high-tech industry and the workforce to support it in the central part of the great state of Florida. We do that by investing, we're state funded. We do that by investing in research projects with companies, marketing projects with economic development organizations and chambers of commerce, like the Florida Chamber, as well as then investing in workforce projects with community colleges and workforce boards. And in the last few years, the last 10 of our 15, come to think of it, I think one of the most exciting is to invest in entrepreneurial initiatives. So again, a state-funded organization made up of volunteers with a mission of attracting, retaining, and growing high-tech industry and the workforce to support it.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned a key word I think that folks are going to can't hear enough about, and that is the role of research investment as part of the feeder of the entrepreneurial spirit. And when you look at the correlation between research investments and prosperity and innovation and job creation and those types of things, give us some sense of, just from your perch in this state, of how fruitful and how big a connection there is between research investment and job creation.
Well, in our world, starting with that AT&T example, and the investment that the company made in both UCF and USF, what's happened over the last 15 years, we've invested in 1,200 research projects with, it's kind of neat, with about 375 companies, large and small. The majority are small companies and incubators, companies that have either incubated themselves or stage 2 companies. Yeah, sure, we've got the Lockheeds and the Harrises and the Progress Energies and the Raytheons, etc. But the majority of projects are with small companies like George Gordon's Emporion in the Tampa Bay area, or Dan Rini Technologies in the Metro Orlando area, two great examples of supporting a small company through research funding. Those 1,200 projects have garnered $55 million of our high-tech corridor funds. And thank you, by the way, for your body language. Yeah, it's a big number. The real key is that we engage 2,400 starving graduate and doctoral students in our now three, as of 2005, University of Florida joined our 3 universities. We have over $1 billion in return from companies and the federal government to match those dollars. In terms of a current time match with the project, as well as we call it the Habermeyer effect of determining the downstream value. And we've literally canvassed more than half the companies we partnered with, more than half the projects. I struggled to make it through a master's course in stat at Butler University. I know we can't play basketball. But I know when I've got half the population of the scientists at the companies, our professors, associate professors, as well as the companies we partnered with, we do a pretty good job of extrapolating the whole. It's right at $1 billion of value put into our 23 counties in the central part of the state. And in the process, we probably can take credit for both direct and indirect, close to 5,000 jobs from this program, helping these companies come here. We've used our resources to make commitments on a long-term basis in terms of matching grant funding, as well as stay here and grow here. The key is that the company does not get our quarter of state funds. They get a commitment to match our dollars. It's a real tough formula. If you're a small company, it's 1-to-1. If you're a mid-sized company, 2 of their dollars to 1 of ours. And if you're a large company, on average 3-to-1, 3 of their dollars to 1 of ours. The best example to date recently was with Harris Corporation. We put in about $3 million in 14 years and about a little over 25 projects. They've matched our money right at 3-to-1 in cash and in kind. Some really good equipment for our universities. Ken Buchanan, VP of Research, and one of our council members did the study, and his team did the study. It's $100 million in downstream value to just Harris. We are going to do the study in terms of the value to our 3 universities of having partnered with, an example, Harris Corporation. So the idea that we can partner with companies using these state dollars, give them matched, give our graduate and doctoral students a meaningful research experience. Dale, a couple of years ago, a co-ed came up to me and said, "This is a retention program." I said, "You figured it out. Go to the head of the class." Our state provides about 3/4 of the cost of a baccalaureate degree, for instance, or a master's program. The student, their family, their loan resources, whatever, cover about 25%. So, as you and I have talked, everything we can do to create a research, in our case, a meaningful research opportunity for those students, what we should be doing, and gives us a chance to retain that great talent.
And you talk about retention, of course, the buzzword that we worry about as economic developers is brain drain, and the fact that we spend state resources to educate some of the brightest minds in the country, and if not the world, and then we lose them. They go to work in, if not other states in the southeast, they would lose them to the west coast, and certainly they go overseas. So, you know, the connection that I think our audience is going to be able to make based on your comments is that we make those investments, we train those folks, and then we keep them within the state of Florida to be productive citizens that also generate quite a bit of revenue as part of their productivity.
Exactly. That co-ed realized she was getting a meaningful research experience with a top-notch company.
Right.
That ended up hiring her.
Yeah. Now, another key word that I wanted to really jump on is you talk about partnership, and that you have to be able to scout out the companies that are willing to bring their own resources. This is not just a giveaway of here, take some money and have at it. What have you noticed over the last decade or so about the nature of those partnerships? Are they weakening in the state of Florida? Are they getting stronger? And what I mean, is it harder for you to make those connections, or is it just as easy as it's ever been for you?
Easier. I think it has to do, and knowing your background a bit, it has to do with a phrase. It's a high-tech phrase. It's the economy, stupid. I mean, it has been so tough that we've witnessed these companies seeing the value because for 15 years now, we've not asked for our money back. So in terms of a company, we'll pick on Dale Brill Enterprise, a small high-tech startup company. You've got a project, you've scoped the project to be done. So when you come to us, if you have a professor, great. If you don't, we'll help you find one to partner with one of our 3 universities. But you've done the analysis of what that project's about. And let's say you scope it at $50,000. And you know in terms of the people or the equipment or supplies, it's going to take about $50,000 of your resources to do that project. Well, in our world, you put up 25, we put up 25. We bring in our professor, or the professor you want, our starving graduate or doctoral students. They do the research you want done. We use MJ Swallow's rule in terms of intellectual property. If it's yours and all we're doing is enhancing it for you, it's still yours. If it's the universities and you see a way to improve something and license it, still the universities. If we develop something together, we share. But in your world, that $25,000 is very, very important, perhaps to a number of your viewers out there. We don't ask for that money back. It's an opportunity to showcase our universities, our students, our professors to help you succeed.
Sure.
But if you look at $1 billion return to $55 million we've invested, we still have a pretty good return.
So, and that's actually the work that we've got in front of us in the month of July. The Florida Chamber Foundation Six Pillars Caucus System gathering at St. Pete College at Collaborative Labs. The summer meeting of more than 170 participants that were able to get here in person. We've got now over 360 participants altogether in the caucus system this year and growing hopefully for next year as well, Randy. Want to thank you for your time. Again, thank you for your sponsorship. Your underwriting this brings a lot of people together and helps pay the bills, quite frankly. But more than that, what's invaluable is your leadership and your wisdom and the experience. So want to thank our listeners, our viewers for spending some time with us as well. Stay tuned for another episode of WFCF TV as we bring together video podcasts for insight and understanding of the economic development world and Florida's future economy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.